Here comes the gust. Ready to go. Off we go. Little bit of a push. And we're sort of away. Semi-planing, kind of. I don't care. I'm happy as you like today. Like a kid at Christmas. I'm on all my new toys. And this is what the session's linked around today, is what am I riding and what have I done to make it as comfortable as possible, as nice as possible, and generally have the best possible time. Now I'm super stoked that after making these videos for YouTube and giving out there a bit of coaching, there's the gust, we're off. I've managed to hook up with 0.7 Windsurf, who have supplied me with some brand new sails that you can see right now. I'll flash a couple of other sails I've got and some things I've been doing over the last few days, testing them out. Now don't worry, this channel's not just going to turn into a big sales pitch telling you how great stuff is, because I've hooked up with the team. I still want to be as honest as I can, as real as I can, and just give you some real life tips, real life coaching points and things that will make it as easy as possible for you to get out on the water and have a bit of fun and master or nail and perfect whatever it is you want to do. And that's what this session is really all about. What have I done to set up a brand new sail and boom and mast on a brand new 96 RD freestyle wave? Everything's brand new. We've got a new rash vest for today. What have I done to make it as comfortable as I can? That's what I'm going to run through. And the common mistakes that I see around the beach I'm working on out here in Vassiliki. There we are, a bit further away from the beach. Things have cleaned up a bit. A little bit windier than in at the shallows just now. And I'm going to start from my kit, top down, and run you through the settings I've done and the things I've done to make it easier as possible. And most important, actually, the common mistakes I see around the place. So, mistake from the top of the sail, the leech, the flappy soft bit at the back of the sail. So often, in fact more often than not, I see people with sails with not enough downhaul. Your sail on the beach should look sad, should look a bit floppy, should have a decent sag and bag on that leech. Those D's coming between the battens need to be of a decent size as per the sail settings and the way the sail's made, I should say. Yes, there's slightly different settings and slightly different sails around, so I need to be slightly generic with these points, but if it's not a floppy leech, it's not going to be very nice. It's going to be punchy, it's going to hit you hard, it's going to be backhand heavy, it's not going to be very nice to sail at all. So make sure you have a nice soft leech. Try to go around a jibe in a lull. So make sure you have a nice soft leech up at the top of the sail in order to best control that power. Next thing, coming down the sail towards our boom. And we'll go from the front of the boom first of all. A lot of the time I see sails being set with booms that are far too low. If the sail is a bit higher, you're already hanging slightly down off the boom. So when that hits you, you can drive the board forward much, much easier. If the sail is too low, you've got to get even lower to actually control anything. We've had a lot of discussions with the team of instructors I've got out here and other guys I've been coaching and teaching with around the world about this thing about lower boom for control. And I think the majority of instructors right now are against it. I don't think a lower boom helps you get control at all. I think a higher boom helps you get control because you can pull down through the mast. You can really hang off the boom like I am now. Just as that gust hit me, I dropped out, back and down, and I could hold on to that extra power. If that boom was lower, it'd be much harder to do, and I'm more likely to get toppled forwards and over the front. It's all about leverage. If I've got a higher boom, I've got more leverage, I can hold that sail just that little bit more. Working our way back on the boom towards the harness lines. A lot of the time I see harness lines far too far forwards. Actually going with that, front hands too far forwards. You may have seen a video I did recently about getting your hands back as you exit a jibe. That's how you can then sheet the sail in, is by getting your hands back. I deliberately have my lines quite a long way back, so that actually my body weight does the work. This is so good feeling right now, by the way, sorry. My body weight does the work, and my front hand then acts as a de-power moment, if you like. Rather than having to pull that front hand to power up, I ever so slightly ease the sail in just a little bit with that front hand like you see now. Just a little bit, opens the sail up if you need to. Extending the front hand, committing to that harness, powers me up once again. So much control and so many sessions I coach come through front hand control. Front hand control starts by getting that harness line back. Just coming back into the beach. I'm going to hit a low. Let's turn it around. Still on harness lines and harness line position in particular. Keep your harness lines loose enough that you can adjust on the water. As in I can move them forwards or backwards. There is no way to correctly set your harness lines on the land. I see a lot of cases of people standing up and trying to hook in on the land or balancing the sail like I'm showing you just now on the land. And although they will get you roughly in the right position, you'll still need that adjustment on the water. In fact, right now as I'm cruising, I've been out for probably 10 minutes or so before I put the camera on, and it feels to me like these lines need to come back. Just that little centimetre, that's a bit better. Maybe even just the tiniest little bit more. There we go. Now you might notice the lines I've got are very close together. And that's because new sails, not just new ones, sails in the last decade or more, have become so refined, let's say, and so stable, which is exactly what you want from a sail, a stable power. The centre of effort doesn't move around. The older sails, you had to have the lines very wide, because when they were wider, it didn't matter that that centre of effort was all over the place. The only people you rarely now see with wide harness lines generally have got an adjustable outhole, a little pulley system on the back of the boom here. Because as you move your outhole setting, so do you move the centre of effort, and you need to move the harness lines accordingly. Links me back to the reason as to why you can't set your lines on the land or balance the sail with 2 fingers and lift the sail up. Might balance perfectly. But if your outhaul is set slightly different from one day to the next, so will the centre of effort in the sail, and therefore your lines need to be in a different place too. Which links me seamlessly into our outhaul setting. And a lot of the time, I see outhaul not pulled on tight enough. Now, if your outhaul is a little bit looser, you'll have more belly in the sail, and yes, you'll get a bit more power. But as soon as that sail starts to crease against the boom, all that power you had becomes horrible and uncontrollable. The sail I'm on just now is set to minimum outhaul setting. So I've got a nice bit of belly. It's ever so slightly touching the boom near the back, but only the tiniest bit, and it's definitely not affecting the profile of the sail. If I were to loosen off any more outhaul, it wouldn't give me more power. It would make it backhand heavy, punchy in a bad way, and basically sail like a large plastic bag. This is different if you're using a sail like you can now see on screen, an ACX or a larger freeride sail where a batten crosses the boom. And that batten allows you to sail with very, very little outhaul on it, because that batten takes all that crease off the boom, keeps the sail looking nice and the airflow across it going nice. So you can, on something like the ACX that you see on screen now, you can get away with less outhaul. Moving on, my uphaul is very tight today. If you're happy if you're happy water starting, you probably don't need your uphaul very much. I'll always have it there, but it's very tight against the mast so it doesn't get in the way of foot straps. Nothing more annoying than an uphaul getting caught around a foot strap when you're trying to duck the sail, when you're trying to uphaul. Nope. I'm losing concentration, folks, I'm sorry. I'm windsurfing. That was a duck jibe. Yes, if the uphaul's too long, it gets caught around your foot straps when you're trying to water start. So if that's your goal, maybe take that tight uphaul a little tighter. If you're using your uphaul a lot though, keep it nice and big and baggy, much easier to get to. The beginner up-pulls on beginner kit are very long, for example. Down to the bottom of the sail now, and I'm showing you a little downhaul trick that I think we should all use when we're windsurfing. Even if you've kept your downhaul nice and you're refreshing it every now and then, little chance of it snapping, things can go wrong. And you snap in a downhaul, it's a pain to sail back in on. So put a little backup, loop the excess downhaul through the pulley block somewhere, or anywhere in the sail, wrap a couple of clove hitches, which is just a simple knot underneath itself as you wrap it around the mast. And that way, if the downhaul was to snap, you've got a backup and you can at least sail back to the beach. Chances are you'll know it, you feel it, you might even hear it, but at least you can make it back without a horrible flappy sail that's not so nice to sail at all. Down towards the board then. The board is a brand new 96 Freestyle Wave, this year's board's from RRD, and it comes with a thruster setup. So I really quite like, because that allows you that you can get your feet a little bit more inboard, a little bit more forwards, but because of the extra fins, the thruster 3-fin setup, you can still, like I am now, there we go, crank it upwind and get plenty of pressure on the heel edge. If this was a single fin setup, I couldn't have the foot straps set up the way they are. And the reason I like them like they are is because it's much easier for jibing having some inboard foot straps like I have on this one. Which actually reminds me and brings me back up towards the sail, which I should probably talk more about because it is so easy to sail, so stable and clean, and one of the big reasons for that is where you guys are attached to right now, the mast. The mast being your backbone of the sail, your lifeblood, your engine. With a bad mast in a good sail, you're going to have a rubbish time. With a good mast in a bad sail, you can still have a pretty good time. Or like I'm on now, this is the top end mast, perfect, like the recommended perfect best mast for this sail on the 5 meter with a carbon boom as well, and it just feels light in the hands, forgiving, easy to sail, no problem at all. Exactly what you want from a sail. Light, forgiving, and stable. Woohoo! Just as I make it back into the shallows and say goodbye. Thanks again for joining me. Thanks again to Point 7 for supplying these sails. Don't know how much I appreciate that. And of course, without all of you guys watching all the way to the end, I definitely wouldn't have hooked up anything like this. So very appreciative for everyone for sticking around on this channel. I'm going to get back to some more, let's say, standard coaching technique-y tips first, but you may remember from a TP video I did a while ago, TTPPEE. If our equipment's wrong, we're not setting ourselves up for success. If you've got some nice equipment, or at least some nicely tuned and well set up equipment, you've given yourself the best possible chance for success and having a nice time in the water. Thanks as always, and we'll see you next time.